This is a true story that documents Stephen Rosati's experiences from the time he and two other men were wrongly accused, and follows him as he is incarcerated and begins a nightmarish journey through the legal system. To write Stephen's story, I relied on over 3,000 pages of police logs, court transcripts and sworn depositions, approximately 200 newspaper articles, television news reports, and hundreds of hours of extensive interviews. In order to maintain anonymity out of respect for the privacy of some characters and locations, I have, in some instances, changed the names of individuals and places. As much as is possible, I have tried to accurately document events and conversations as they happened. Certain scenes involving tertiary characters have been embellished for aesthetic reasons. The story of the extradition hearing and incarceration of Stephen Rosati, Peter Dallas, and Peter Rusinopoulos is an inside look at an instance of injustice that, on the face of it, seems barely credible. Consider what has to be involved to gain a false confession, get a bevy of eyewitnesses to help support a manufactured case, and also get prosecutors from 2 different states and a couple of judges to play along. When you listen to this extraordinary story and see how far some in law enforcement and the legal profession would go to fabricate evidence, you will realize that what happened to Stephen could happen to anyone, even to you. Marc J. Seifer, Ph.D., February 17, 2014. Prologue. August 1992. Known as the big guy to everyone investigating the crime, the accused murderer stared vacantly at the concrete walls of his cell for the 1,000th time as his hands braided the escape rope in mechanical fashion. Denied medication for his clinical depression and sent to maximum security because of disorderly conduct, the big guy swore to himself as he tore another strip from the sheet and glanced over to the clock. 7:47 p.m. Hounded by guilt and feeling down in the dumps, he was even on the skids with his girlfriend. Out of tears, he was no longer able to cry. "Come clean and I'll see if I can get you 20 years instead of the electric chair," the cop had said, as if there was a difference. No wonder he'd been jailed once before for beating up a cop. The big guy's fingers worked methodically as he began to calculate it out. 20 years times 12 months. 240 months. He glanced once more at the clock. 7:47. The veins in his neck became taut. He felt that his heart was about to explode. He wanted to smash the clock against the wall, but what good would it do? "My God, I'm innocent," his mind screamed in silent desperation. "I did not kill anyone. It wasn't me." But what good did the truth do? Sure, he had busted in on the guy. Yes, his face had been scarred with powder burns from the gunshot. His shirt had been splattered with the dead man's blood. But he didn't pull the trigger. It wasn't him. He never wanted anyone to die. That wasn't the plan. They were just going to rip the guy off. With the police on a wild goose chase for all those years, he thought for sure that he was home free. That deal had gone down in another lifetime. But now the snare had been closed. New witnesses had surfaced, fall guys were being set free, and he was a dead duck. The big guy related the whole story to one of his cellmates before he was put in solitary, how it went down, how his partner had whacked the guy in a scuffle, and how they ditched the guns in a lake. But the bottom line was that it wasn't him. He never even fired his weapon. The words, I'm innocent," reverberated through his cranium. At the same time, they seemed to echo down the cavernous halls of the sleepy prison. Dominating his every thought, he repeated over and over again, "If I didn't kill anybody, why should I pay?" Unable to bear it for even another second, he kept his mind straight just long enough to climb onto the top bunk, place the noose securely around his neck, and tie the other end to the farthest bedpost. "Don't fuck this up," was his last thought. Finally, he was free. Introduction.